Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of the Real Housewives of New York City, Season 10, Episode 15, Wigging Out. This Colombia trip is not going well. All right, we start off with everybody still in New York City, but they're packing their bags, and Ramona, she isn't just limping into a drugstore down the streets of New York. She appears to be dragging a foot. It is so funny and bizarre, and it is so Ramona. She hobbles in and she's getting fitted for like an ace bandage, basically. She was out with her good friends and we were having fun, and I was on the phone and I went to turn and I went down a flight of stairs. Okay. She didn't say this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there was alcohol involved. She sprained her ankle and now she's got to get ready for this trip. Well, the next thing is we see them at the airport and Ramona is being wheeled through the airport to the car. So now we are in Cartagena, Colombia. I know, you don't even have to leave this in the comments because I am fully aware that I am pronouncing it wrong. I can't tell, is the G a Y sound or is it an H sound? I'm going with H. I'm calling it Cartagena. You can leave a comment if you want, but I know I'm saying it wrong, So they all get into two cars. In one car, it's Bethany, Luann, and Sonia, her new friends. And in the other car, it's everybody else. Tinsley, Carol, Ramona, and Dorinda. And in Bethany's car, she's looking at her phone and she tells Luann and Sonia, oh God, this guy was being relentless. And they're like, what, who, the guy from the speed dating? And she said, yeah, she's talking about Red Scarf. He's been calling her and I guess she told him she was sick, and he's like, oh, well, I'll just come over for a little while, or maybe I can bring you something, or how about tomorrow night? So apparently it sounds like he's going hard and heavy after Bethany. Then Bethany said something to him about, oh, I heard you went out with Ramona. And he's like, no, after the speed dating, I went to this other place with Rory, who he knew because that's why he came to this event. Rory was the one who had the speed dating event. And the two of them went somewhere and Ramona showed up there. And when she saw them, according to Red Scarf, she let her Uber go and she jumped in the car with them as they drove to another place. And, you know, they had some drinks and stuff. And he said, she's a very nice lady, but I have zero interest in her. They arrive in the city and it's really cool. It's bustling and there's beautifully different colored houses and like these little narrow streets. It was really pretty. In the other car, Tinsley was saying how, you know, this is not a beach vacation. I've been trying to tell you guys that. We're not like going to be on a beach. It's a very different kind of feel. So now we see what she means, because the house is kind of like in the middle of this busy city. But within the house, once you go through the front door, there's a courtyard inside with a swimming pool. And, you know, then like the rooms and everything are all around it. And it looked stunning. It was really cool and really different looking. I thought it was neat. Did any of you guys watch that miniseries about the killing of Gianni Versace? If not, it was really, really good. You have to watch it. But this place kind of reminds me of Versace's place in Miami, where you go like through the front door, but then you are in this outdoor atrium kind of area that's like within the house. It kind of reminded me of that, and it was really cool. Okay, so Tinsley has devised this elaborate and expensive plan for picking the rooms. There are enough rooms for everybody. Nobody has to share, but one of the rooms is downstairs, and then a couple of the rooms have like 2 twin beds instead of a king-size bed, that kind of thing. For picking the rooms, which, by the way, only seems to be a problem for the New York Housewives. I don't know any other franchise that I watch anyway where they have to scramble for their rooms every time they go on a trip together. Anyway, Tinsley pulls out of her bag 7 little Tiffany boxes. every woman takes a box, they don't open it yet, and then they go room to room, and one at a time, whatever room they're in, one of the ladies will open their box, and inside is a beautiful little silver necklace with an initial on it, and whosever initial that is, that's the room they get. So it worked out great. Everybody was thrilled with that idea, and they got a Tiffany necklace. But it was kind of funny to me because of all people, Ramona ended up in a room that just had like 2 small beds. I thought that was funny. But she didn't complain. And Tinsley ended up with the downstairs bedroom. Okay, now they're going to have lunch. And Ramona goes into the kitchen to talk to the cook. What kind of soup is that? And he said fish. Oh, it's fish soup? Okay. All right. Is there any butter in there? Because butter kind of upsets my stomach. And he said, no, there's no butter. And she goes, oh, good. You must be healthy like I am. That's why I look ageless. And this poor chef doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. I mean, listen, even without the language barrier, you barely know what Ramona's talking about. So he just looked confused. He didn't even understand that Ramona was complimenting herself. Ageless like me. Now the ladies are coming to the table and sitting down, and Bethany sits down and, okay, she literally takes one sip of the soup. And she's having a weird reaction. And she said, is there fish in this? And Tinsley said, oh, yeah, I didn't know you couldn't have fish. Yeah, no, I can't. I feel it's scratchy. My throat's scratchy already. She's doing all these contortions with her face. Yeah, I feel it already. Yeah, is it? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go upstairs. Okay. Now, I am not laughing at the fact that she has an allergy to fish, but it appears to be a very severe allergy because she had one sip of that soup and she's upstairs in her room vomiting. I'm sorry. If you're that allergic to something, wouldn't you be more careful? You're in a foreign country, you're someplace new, in a restaurant or anywhere. Aren't you always going to totally make sure that the thing that you are deathly allergic to is not in that dish before you take a bite? I don't know. I'm not saying she exaggerated. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying you're a person with a severe allergy. You need to be more careful. Anyway, she does come back down after lunch, and I think they're lounging in the atrium area, and she's sitting there with Luann. And she said, I mean, I feel kind of spoiled, but like, doesn't the house seem a little grimy to you? And Luann goes, well, I don't know. I'm walking around with bare feet. And Bethany goes, yeah, look at the bottom of your feet. They're black. And they were. They were filthy. But again, it's sort of almost like an outdoor area. You're going to walk around barefoot? I wouldn't have done that either. Now we see everybody getting all ready to go to dinner. And they are going all out with their shoes and their dresses and their, oh, Tinsley has her glam squad there. She then later tells us that Scott sent her glam squad. So yeah, so she's got a makeup guy and a hair girl. They're with her on the trip so that she can look like herself, I guess. Oh my God. Then there's a knock at the door and the house manager opens the door and it's somebody with a wheelchair for Ramona. Ramona has ordered a wheelchair for when they go out to dinner. Oh gosh. Then she comes down from her room and she's got these high heels on and people are like, what is that wheelchair for you? And she goes, yeah, because I want to wear these cute shoes. Then I could put the shoes on. And they're like, go put on a pair of flats. Are you kidding? She went back upstairs and there's an elevator. So she gets in the elevator and then she gets stuck in there. And she's calling for help and nobody can hear her. Now everybody's down in the atrium area sitting and having a cocktail before they go out to dinner. And Luann shows up in this long red wig. And she's like, hola, Chiquitas. Hola, hola. Oh, God. She said she was channeling Sofia Vergara, but not quite. That channel was not completely coming in clearly. Let me just say that. But I gotta tell ya, not mad at the wig. I kind of liked it. And I liked it on Luann. So they all go to dinner. They're walking down the cobblestone streets with poor little Carol pushing Ramona in her wheelchair. Now they're at the restaurant, sitting at the table. Luann says something funny to the confession cam, like something about now being in South America. And she said, well, I was supposed to go to South America over the holidays, but I never made it. And then she takes a sip of her Diet Coke. I was briefly detained. Which was funny, but also made me think you probably shouldn't joke about it. You know, that might not look so good. So now the conversation turns to that speed dating event. And I guess there was one guy who was interested in Luann. He might have called her again. He's the artichoke pizza guy. I don't know if he's the artichoke pizza guy in New York City or not, but there is this place in New York City. I don't know if the name of it is artichoke pizza. I can't remember. I think it's just called artichoke. I think. Anyway, my daughter has taken my husband and I there a few times. It is so good. And it's just what he said. The artichoke, it's like the sauce. It's like a white sauce with the pizza. And I did not think I was going to like it because the kind of pizza I like, just cheese. So I for sure thought, oh no, this is too adventurous for me. It's delicious. And if that's the guy, I'd go out on a date with him. I mean, he was no prize in the looks department, but Luann, if he doesn't hang out at the Regency, I would date him. So then Carol mentions that her friend Rory, who held the event, called her up and said that Red Scarf asked about her and wanted to take her out to dinner. Okay, now you and we all got the backstory in the car that he's been pestering Bethany. So right away, I'm thinking what you guys are probably thinking, which is whatever Bethany said to him that told him she didn't want to pursue things any further, I bet then he told Rory, okay, why don't you give me Carol's phone number? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking. So anyway, Carol said she did. She went out to dinner with him and they had a 3-hour dinner. He's so easy to talk to and she had a great time. Bethany's kind of doing like a slow boil inside. Already she's got her issues with Carol, number one. Number two, she doesn't want to look an ass and say, you've got my sloppy seconds because I turned him down. He's been trying to get me all week long and she doesn't want to be a jerk and do that, but it's just irritating her that Carol is acting like he chose her, right? So she's just inside is having this turmoil. You can just see it. So everyone is kind of teasing Ramona about how, oh, you bought him a drink and you really liked him. And she still will not admit that. I said he was a good conversationalist. That's all. I just like to talk to him. I liked his mind. That's all. But, it's funny. So they're teasing her. And then Dorinda said, what's the big deal? He just talked to everybody. It's not like he slept with 3 women. And Carol's like, no, he's friends with Bethany. He went on a date with me. And then Bethany interrupts her and goes, no, we're not friends. Carol goes, oh, I thought you were. And Bethany, we're definitely not friends. Carol's kind of like, okay. But she said, oh, I mean, that's what he said. And Bethany goes, so you would believe him over something I might say. What is going on here? Girl, you gotta hold it together. So Carol gets mad and she goes, I don't care that much. It's not that deep. So then Bethany goes, he's just, nothing. I mean, he's running a game. This is Tom 2.0. No offense, she says to poor Luann, who's like, she doesn't even really know what's going on. Finally, Dorinda says to Bethany, did you go out on a date with him? And she's like, no, it's just weird. It's just weird. He's circling around the group and that's just weird. I'm sorry. And then to Carol, she goes, you seem smug. You're acting like you won a prize. And Carol goes, excuse me, Bethany? And she's like, yeah, it's a consolation prize. Oh, and then Carol just like didn't even know what to say. Bethany, it was ugly. Then it's like the dinner's over and Bethany gets up and she's like, well, that was a slice of torture. That's 2 hours I'll never get back. Then they're outside on the street. I don't know if they're waiting for some of the other ladies or something. And Bethany says to Dorinda something about the house sucks. And I'm sorry, but the house sucks. And it puts you in a bad mood then. When you're on vacation, you want everything to be nice, but the house is dirty and it just puts you in a bad mood. Think about how great Mexico was last year. You come outside and you see the ocean, the water just makes you feel better. And it was so great. Yeah, it was so great because that was your trip last year. And this is Tinsley's. Dorinda said, well, do you think there are any better houses here? And Bethany goes, yes, 100%. So she says she's going to go home early and, sorry, I'm not in a good mood, so I'm just going to go to sleep. So she's, says goodbye, kisses everybody goodbye, including Carol, everybody. And then they kind of go their separate ways. But what I didn't realize is that Luann and Sonia are also going with Bethany because Luann and Sonia are now Bethany's little puppies this year. There's a clear divide. Maybe it's a little murky with Dorinda, but it is a clear divide between, one camp is Bethany's team, which is Sonia and Luann, and the other is Carol's team, which is Tinsley and Ramona. So as soon as they separate into those two groups, Dorinda right away says to the group and to Tinsley, Bethany doesn't like the house. That's what's going on there. And then this was hilarious. Ramona, who's now being pushed by Dorinda, is in her wheelchair and she goes, I must really be changing because I'm not even complaining. I got the room with the twin bed and I don't even give a shit. And she goes, I hung up my own clothes and everything. Yeah. That's right, I forgot that. I forgot earlier. She's trying to call to the guy that was helping her in her room with her luggage to get him to come back and hang her things for her. But he was already gone. So she did do it herself. Back over to Bethany and Luann and Sonia, and they're walking down one of those streets. And Bethany just kind of like doubles over and she goes, ah! And screams and she's like, that was so painful. Her little minions are laughing. And Luann said, you know what, we should go out. Come on, let's go. Let's surprise them. So they all do meet up at the bar that the other ladies are going to. But they shouldn't have. Bethany should have gone home when she knew she needed to go home. She should have gone home. They get there, and the others are surprised to see them. And Tinsley goes, oh, God, I'm glad you came. You need to give it a shot. And right away, Bethany's offended. What do you mean, give it a shot? Give it a shot. What are you talking about? Now Tinsley's kind of backpedaling, and she doesn't really want to throw Dorinda under the bus. So she's like, well, I heard that you weren't really liking it here, and I thought you were going to go home. I thought you hated it here. And Bethany goes, not the whole country. Yeah, just the house your friend owns. And then Tinsley said, yeah, I thought because you didn't like the house. And Bethany goes, where'd you? Oh, okay, Dorinda. You heard it from her. Got it. So now Bethany is yelling across the table to Dorinda. It's a busy, crowded, loud bar, and she's shouting across the table to Dorinda, who appears to be on the phone. I don't know. She's holding her phone up to her ear. And she's like, you don't have to share everything I say. And to the confession camp, Dorinda's like, are you kidding me? Share? She was basically wearing a sign around her neck that said, I hate it here. Anyway, everybody gets up and leaves. Sonia and Bethany are the last ones at the table, and Bethany is in tears. The next morning, a miracle has occurred. Ramona's ankle is all better. After breakfast, I guess, they had planned to all go shopping, and Tinsley said, are you going to be able to go shopping? Oh, yeah, it feels fine. It doesn't hurt at all anymore. So we see Bethany in the pool, and then she kind of swims over and says, hey, Tinsley, listen, I just want to apologize for last night. I'm really sorry. That wasn't meant for you to hear, and I was just kind of lashing out, and I didn't mean for your feelings to be hurt, and I'm really sorry. And then she explains that she's uncomfortable because she's on a trip with somebody who she used to be friends with, and now she isn't, and she feels like an outsider because this is like Carol's best friend's trip. Bethany keeps making all these snarky comments to the confession cam about, oh, what is this, high school, or are we in 5th grade, or are we all teenagers? What? Yet she keeps talking about how Tinsley is now her best friend. Come on, who needs to grow up now, Bethany? Now everyone goes to sit down and have breakfast, and while they're at breakfast, this giant heart, and I mean giant, like 5 feet of red roses, this heart of roses with white roses that have Tinsley's initials and Scott's initials, shows up because it is Tinsley and Scott's 1-year anniversary. And the card says 365 roses for 365 incredible days. Weren't you guys broken up for some of those days? Were those incredible too? This thing was obnoxiously big, and to the confession cam, Luann said what I think we all were thinking. They looked like funeral flowers. Too big. It looked like it needed a stand and a dead body. She's not wrong. Then Carol has a gift to give Tinsley that Scott had asked Carol to please put in her suitcase and bring to her. I don't know how, but I somehow missed commenting on the fact that Carol's bathing suit has a matching cardigan sweater. So she does, and she opens it, and it's a Cartier bracelet. Side note, the last time I watched Watch What Happens Live, Tinsley was on, and she and Scott were broken up. So the whole time I'm watching this episode, I'm thinking, oh my God, yes, this is great, this huge grand gesture, and you're moving in with this guy, but I know you guys are now really broken up. Well, she was just on Watch What Happens Live last night, and they're back together again. That's the first piece of news. The second piece of news is that somebody asked her who pays the $30,000 a month at the hotel that they live in, and Tinsley said, oh, Scott pays for that. Yeah, so just passing along juicy gossip whenever I have it. You're welcome. Okay, so Bethany is still out of sorts, and she kind of gives, oh, well, congratulations, and then she gets up abruptly and walks out, and it's just weird. I don't know. She does change and get ready for going shopping, but now she's sitting on the couch talking to Dorinda, and she's sort of confronting her about, you know, listen, when I tell you something, you don't have to tell everybody. And Dorinda's like, I didn't think that was important. If it's something important, I don't share it. She does tell her that this custody thing is coming up for her, and she's upset about that, and she's a bundle of stress and nerves, and she breaks down crying. So she goes into the kitchen, and Dorinda follows her, and now they're sitting at a table there, and this is when she's really kind of telling her everything that's going on and all the stresses that are bothering her. And she said, I feel I'm gonna explode. I don't even know if I can hold it together. And Dorinda's like, well, you have to, you'll get through this, you have to do. And now Luann comes looking for them because everybody's ready to go shopping and she doesn't really know what's going on. So Luann comes and kind of like pokes her head into the kitchen, and Bethany sees her and runs away yelling, no, get Luann out of here. I can't have more people here. And Luann's like, are we going shopping or what? She didn't even know what was happening. That's where we end. We have a to be continued. Oh my God, you guys, I don't know. This is bad. This is a bad trip that could be like on par with Scary Island. I don't know. This is not going well. I am sure we're going to have at least 2 more episodes because, oh, isn't the scary boat ride this trip? I think it might be. So yeah, we got a lot more to pack in, my friends, before we leave Colombia. All right, that's all for me for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. I will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time for the next recap of The Real Housewives of New York City. Bye-bye.